Misty Lowe. Misty,
Here?
I see her. I see her. Erica
Can you hear
Helm.
me?
Here.
I can hear you now, yeah. And Carrie McMahon.
Yes.
Okay. Meeting is called to order for the January 5th special meeting. First action item is the approval of school board minutes from 12/9/2020. Chair would entertain a motion.
I move that we accept the school board minutes from 12/9/2020, public and non-public.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any changes to the minutes?
Yes, I had just a little bit, page 5, line 67. Just for clarity, can we put in private before school care? So add private and school instead of just before care. I don't think that's the name of the program, is it? Before care? I think that's just what we call it, but I don't think that's an official name. So if it could say private before school care. And then add,
Does it, well, wait a minute, Erica, does the board agree with that?
Debbie, you're muted.
Yeah,
I can see your mouth, but you're muted.
I don't know the name of it, so I don't know. I think
Okay,
that sounds fine.
all right.
And so then
What
on
else?
line 69, Mr. Patrick asked how the before school care, if we could just add before school for clarity. And I think we need a new paragraph, line 71, right before, I think 7th, 8th graders have more robust learning platform. I think that's a new paragraph because it's not about the before school care.
Okay,
And then, I'm sorry, I have one more. Line 84, the projected enrollment for next year is 25 students. I guess the enrollment in what? I guess I'm sort of confused.
I don't understand what that is either. I'm not sure what we were talking about there.
Or was it, yeah, because I think it's more than 250, so it's not like a zero was missed.
I don't know.
what's the preschool enrollment for next year?
Oh, maybe that was it. Although it says from preschool to 8th grade, but
Yeah, that doesn't sound right.
I would be surprised if there are 25 students for preschool next year.
yeah, that seems a little high.
Yeah.
You guys
So
think
what-
that might be the number that was referring to students that were opting into the hybrid model? No? Otherwise, I don't know how to make sense of that number either.
Maybe we need to have Amelia go back to line 84 and listen to the tape to clarify that.
Okay.
Something's wrong.
Okay,
That's all I had. Thank you.
we'll send that line back. And are there any other changes to the agenda? Hearing now, we'll put it to a vote to accept the minutes. Let's see, Debbie,
Yes.
Misty,
Yes.
Erica,
Yes.
Carrie, and myself, yes. Okay.
Yes.
All right, the first thing on the agenda is the budget. So are we ready to go over the budget?
Yep.
Can we screen share a new budget? Glenn, is that something we can do?
We certainly can. Everybody see that?
Yep.
This is the same one that's in our packet, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, just double check.
Okay.
All right.
Now you have the end of the budget on the,
Yep, this is just summarized. Everything's compressed by function code at this point, just showing the grand total of where we're at. the 2.7% increase. And then we can certainly expand that and then go right to the top and go line by line if you'd like.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, this will be our last walkthrough of the budget unless we need another one.
We're gonna have to have some things updated. I'm just gonna let you know that Misty and I met with Aaron before this meeting, and we were looking at the bids for the financial software. We feel pretty comfortable with one of them, but we still have questions. But we do have some numbers that have to be plugged in that are not in this budget.
We can certainly update them tonight so you can see a final version, and
Okay.
if the board's desire is to move on where we finish tonight, you can certainly do that, or as Mr. Patrick said, schedule a subsequent meeting after this.
We have a meeting next week, right? The 13th, Bruce?
Yeah, we have next week to fine tune anything that we might need to do at that time. I was hoping to get through the budget and then just do fine tuning at the 13th, not go through the whole procedure again and do the procedure on the 27th.
Okay.
Now, did everybody get an email from Kurt Wolper
Yes.
Yes.
about the,
About the date certain or the future date,
Right.
whatever rescheduling.
right? And I think we should address that even right now because we do have the 27th of January, the Wednesday, last Wednesday of the month, and then the first Saturday in March for the budget, the hearing and the district meeting. Kurt seemed to think that we could postpone everything because of the COVID, according to the government exemption that's being allowed for this. What does everybody think of that?
I read the document he sent out, and it looks like there's a couple of options for us.
Yeah,
We could either hold, if we were to hold our meeting virtually, we'd have to have two meetings. The first meeting would be to explain the process. The second meeting would be, from what this is my interpretation of what I read. The second meeting would be we would hold a virtual district meeting, and then there would be voting, sort of a drive-by voting or something the next day or something like that, because obviously they can't vote in a virtual meeting. So it was that option, or then some people were talking about, they had a lot of information about maybe rescheduling until May. Some people, it also talked about possibly holding it outside in May if we still had an issue, that people could be separated more. Or they even talked about, and this would also be an option, if we did hold it in person, there's an option, as far as what I've read, that you could actually hold it in another town. Let's say we had the Co-Brown Big Smith Hall gym,
yeah,
where you could separate. So it seemed like there were three options. Did you see that?
yeah. That's what I was wondering. What's the board's take on which option we should choose at this time? I don't know how long we can delay it to get the tax rate set. I mean, May seems like.
And we don't know what the town is doing. Not that we have to be linked to them or do what they're doing, but they have the same options. I don't feel like doing it video is a great option. I think we have too many people in town with unstable connections. I would rather either choose a date in April or look into maybe the Co-Brown option if that's big enough, or the National Guard. Is that room big enough if we brought chairs up there? It's been so long since I've been in there. I can't remember.
The gym is kind of small, Erica.
Yeah,
I'm not.
Okay, yeah, it's
I'm not-
it's been 15 years since I've been in there. Okay.
Yeah, because when I was looking at it for a couple times, it's very small. It's smaller than ours.
yeah, I think,
I agree with Erica on the virtual. I think it would be a mess.
be a mess, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we should still plug through it tonight and then make a definite decision on the 13th of how we want to proceed. We could ask Co-Brown to use their gym and see if we can get everybody 6 feet apart there.
Do we, it's not that we don't care. Do we want to consider what the town is doing for town meeting? Or just do
Yeah,
our
well,
things
the town-
separately?
The town meeting gathers the same amount of people pretty much that we do. Each meeting is pretty much the same, attended in the same amount of people. Let's look into that this week. Okay.
What somebody else mentioned, I think Misty was talking about what Oyster River might do, is if you held it in two different locations, but you were, sharing the video. I mean, that's, I guess, the fourth option. If you had used our gym and the National Guard, and you sort of had to have I guess you'd have to have a screen at the National Guard, or that's like another option to separate people more.
The National Guard, as Kerry said, is not that big. I think it's probably just a little bit bigger than our cafeteria. So we could use our gym and our cafeteria. Is that right, Kerry?
Yeah, yes, you're right.
So I
You're
mean,
right.
we could use our gym in the cafeteria if we don't go over the amount of people that come in.
We have a smart board in the cafeteria, or a big screen.
We could probably get a screen, and they would use a screen before for presentations.
Yeah,
For
for
budget
public hearings.
hearings.
I
Yeah.
think if we have multiple sites, we have to also then have multiple, whoever checks in voters and verifies voters and all of that, right?
Would want to organize it where by alphabet, however you check in, you're designated to a space.
Oh, okay.
So whether it's A through whatever is in the gym and F through whatever is in the CAF, and if you had to use the music room or other classrooms, you'd probably want to organize it. So we would have to have the technology to live stream where everyone could. I don't know if that's feasible.
I feel like that's an awfully big risk, considering we're just now 10 months into it, beginning to master doing it via Zoom, but that's my opinion.
Postponing till later in the year when we're past this might be wiser.
It might be wiser. Yeah, I think postponing it till April. I don't know if I'd go all the way to May, but I possibly would postpone it to April to make decisions. That way we can plan a location in a place that all townspeople can attend.
Yeah,
So-
I'll go along with that.
If we were to do it in April, the reason I think they were talking about May is you could do it outside. If we were to do it in April, schedule it in April, and then if we're still under the same type of guidelines, then we would have to do it virtually at that point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it gives us more time to prepare and get ready
Okay.
at that point. Okay.
Yeah. So
Go ahead.
do we still have the same timeline for getting the warrant articles and everything done? I mean, do we still have to stick to our regular timeline?
I'm not sure. Not sure under the new rules how the warrant articles go.
What I read didn't address that. The publication dates. What the article I read didn't address that.
Bruce, this is Monica. Are y'all able to hear me?
Yes, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Okay, I turned my video off because my internet connection is unstable tonight.
That's fine.
Spoke earlier today with one of the SAU board attorneys about this, and there is going to be a legislative discussion tomorrow, and there's going to be moderator training to follow on Friday for both town moderators and school moderators. So I think we'll probably have by the end of the week some more specific guidance, but this question Debbie was asking about the timeline, we don't know yet. We're waiting to hear what the legislature decides.
Okay.
Waiting to talk about this next week sounds like.
Yeah. So the 13th, we'll have to just make the firm decision of which route we're gonna take on the 13th. So that gives us between now and next Wednesday to make a clear decision.
Mhm.
See what Kurt says. He's going to moderated training. see what the legislature says tomorrow.
And, you know, it may also be good to have information such as how many people can we hold in the gym, keeping the distance required, and the cafeteria, and something about maybe how our live stream is working. You know, just to throw that in, just in case the news isn't what we'd like.
Okay. All right,
So
so
what do you think? What do you think about on the 27th for the public hearing? What do you think about holding that?
well,
gym or-
the public hearing, unfortunately, isn't very heavily attended.
Mm-mm.
Okay?
Right.
I mean, last year we had 15 people in the board there. I mean, there may be more this year because people want to know what's happening, but I would think the gym could accommodate for the public hearing.
Yeah,
It's-
I
it's-
agree.
It's the
Okay.
district meeting where the vote is on the budget that is the one that would be in jeopardy for the spacing. So,
Or could that public hearing be successfully remote? Or is there concern about that?
well, like Monica said, or someone said, there have to be a twofold meeting.
Yeah.
It would be one meeting and then another meeting for the vote. Okay, and
That's March. We're talking January, right?
Well, the January meeting I would think the January meeting could be held in the gym.
Yep.
Like I said, historically, it has not been attended very heavily.
Right.
I don't know the last time we even got 30 people there.
You're right.
Okay, so I mean, we can spread chairs out there.
And it's one of those things that we can see if we need to change it in 2 weeks, we'll know. You know, if there's a big change.
Right, and it sounds like next week we might have some direction about timelines, and we would want to bump the public hearing out and do some, I don't know, I'm just saying, potentially we could do some more budget work. If
That's a
we're not
good point.
Voting until April, we don't have to have the budget hearing next week, on the 27th.
Yeah,
Well,
we've had a budget hearing in February before, Bruce, haven't we?
We've had it in the first week. It has to be 30 days before the district meeting.
Right.
That's why we always
Okay.
go. That's why we always go the last Wednesday of January. It gives us a buffer week. It gives us a buffer week in case we get a snowstorm or
Yes.
some kind of big issue that comes up. So we usually do it 5 weeks ahead instead of 4 weeks ahead. That's the reason we do last Wednesday in January. But we can always adjust dates at the next meeting if we had to.
You know, I wonder if we have to have that, maybe Glenn, you may know this. Do we need to post that public hearing, the budget hearing 10 days in advance?
I believe it's 7 days in advance.
So that we just need to know 7 days before what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
As long as we know 7 days before, we should be fine. And then we normally, if we are holding it in person, we do schedule a snow day too.
Okay. All right. So Wednesday is our drop dead date for next Wednesday to make a decision on how we're going to run these two meetings. Okay. But right now we're going to get back into the budget and with the idea of still going on the 27th for the hearing and then still going in March for the district meeting if we decide to go that route and make it into two locations, one simulcast with the what's happening with the gym. Okay. Any questions on that?
Yeah.
Nope.
Any other comments on that? No. Okay, so Glenn, we're back to the budget. Thank you. Thank you for holding with us. Debbie, you had some changes in the budget that you were comparing budgets.
Well, Aaron and I were gonna work with Glenn tomorrow. We just had some numbers to plug and we don't need to do it now.
Well, I think
So-
if you have any numbers, let's do it now and
Okay.
get them up to date to see where we are.
Oh, okay. All right.
So tell Glenn which account number you need to focus on.
Okay. I'm not prepared right this second because I have to add things up.
Oh, okay.
All right. All right.
All right.
I can give you one line, Glenn, on the line for under the SAU for the computers, the one-time purchase.
You have a number for that?
I'm looking at two different sheets here. We don't have
Okay.
numbers on this one.
Line
Glenn, you
302.
know which one it is, the SAU one?
Replace equipment, computers, $4,100.
Yes. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to make that 4690 because we're also adding into that line phones. So I'm going to let you know, Aaron was going to go over this with you tomorrow, but that includes one Dell server, 4 desktop computers, and 4 phones. It also includes a Cisco managed switch and a firewall. Well, I said the router. Okay, and the router. Those are all one-time costs because we included a couple other things in that line. So it's $4690.
Just tell me the descriptions again. I got the Dell server, the 4 desktops.
4 phones and a Cisco managed switch and a wireless router. And I'm going to have to add a couple of other things up because we weren't ready to do this tonight. Okay. If you want to go on to something else, I'll add things up, Scott, Bruce.
Is there anybody else have anything that needs to be changed in the budget since we worked on it the last time?
Oh.
Glenn, you sent us out a driver sheet with the large amounts that make a difference in this budget. Can you put that up?
Yeah, you gotta give me a second because I believe that was part of the email that I sent, and I gotta.
Correct.
Yeah, let me track that down. I'll stop sharing while I go find that.
Yeah, because that's pretty much what's going to be reported out at the hearing, what Glenn is going to put up, because most of these lines are either up a little bit or down a little bit, but there aren't too many changes in these lines that make a giant amount of difference, except for these amounts that are in the driver's seat as far as making the large changes.
Stand by.
Okay, it's okay. Did everybody get a chance to see that sheet?
I'd love to see it screen shared because I need hard copies of things. And I didn't get a hard copy.
Okay. The other thing we're going to do tonight after this is review the warrant articles. Make sure that they are in place.
Then we have. I'll ask you a question. One of the things Aaron included, and we can decide if we want to include this, is if we wanted to continue to have Zoom and continue to have that the DocuSign for next year. So those are 2 extra things because of COVID that they're not super expensive, but I just wanted people to know if they want to include that.
Well, we don't know where this is going still. I mean,
it's only $1,000, under $1,000 for both. So
okay, here we go.
okay. So, and I will ask you, Glenn, while you're working, I don't know if you need to focus. Can I ask you a question while you're doing that? Or
Yeah,
you need
sure, go ahead.
Okay. So we have a few things that are like the yearly fees, like DocuSign, the website, Zoom, things like that. What line would we put that under?
That would be, within the SAU budget for technology software renewals.
Okay. Software renewals, is that
software
different
line,
than
yeah.
software?
Yeah,
Because it's software renewals.
computer software right here. That's where I
Okay,
would
so
put it. That's where that
regular
would go.
software. Okay, all right. So, all right, I'm still working on this.
Okay. Okay. Well, while Debbie's working on that, let's look at this email that was sent out to us on the changes. And these are the important driving factors for this year's budget. The budget is up 2.7%. Is that correct, Glenn?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, so what we have is the major forces in driving this budget. The increase in the statutory employee rate increases for New Hampshire retirement system, and that is voted on by the legislature. That comes out of Concord. So they increased it from 11 to 14. I'm just giving you rough numbers, and from 17 to 21. So because of that legislature that we received, that pushes our budget up $148,000 just in retirement line for our staff members. So that's that's the biggest driving factor right there, and that's something that we cannot control. With our health and dental plan insurances, there's a 2.6% increase in premium rates, and that is $63,000. The one that this shows that the SAU and general administration is up 67,500, but that is that over what we're paying for SAU 44? I didn't understand that one. Or is that what we're paying? That wouldn't be what we're paying for next year, I don't believe. I'm not sure.
Where are you talking? Where?
Right here, Debbie, in the middle, SAU
SAU.
general administration.
I don't know where that number's coming from. I do know that one of the things that's going to offset the things that we're talking about, we have $68,000 coming back from the SAU, and that will be under anticipated revenue, and that was to cover our startup costs for buying our financial software. So if I haven't added it up, I think that looks high to me, but I will look at that again because we just got some new numbers.
Okay.
That looks high to me, but I will check it. If it is, it's just about exactly what we're getting back. So
Yes,
even though it's an increase, it's offset by the $68,000.
Yep. So that cancels each other out right there.
Right.
Because you knew you were getting that money back. That was good planning on that part.
Yeah.
Okay. As reported at last year's district meeting, salary and wages would be going up 138,800. We reported out 3 years on the 3-year new contract, and there was an estimate in each line, so we're pretty close to what that was. And then special education costs, we may have some additional placements that have to be made this year that are unanticipated, and that would be 110,000. That would be returned to the town if those placements did not take place. So that's something we're putting in there just as a placeholder in case we have the potential out of district placement. Kerry, did you have something?
No, I'm just agreeing with you.
Oh, okay. All right. So the budget amount on all those items of 527,000 for the largest part of the increase of the budget right now. And that's what we'll pretty much be presenting on the 27th of how those numbers are driving the budget to make that 2.7% increase for the 2022 budget. Okay. All right, we're back to the regular budget. Can we go to the bottom line now?
Sure.
Glenn?
Okay, good. I'm done. Okay.
Hold on, Debbie. We're gonna just go look at this right now. And this was, I was talking about the 2.7 increase, 2.7% increase, $317,161.10. Glenn, did you make a calculation on what that would mean to the tax rate?
Yes. So that would, so the budget as it stands right now would be a $17.32 tax rate, tax impact.
Right. So on a,
okay, yeah. So here's what you're talking about.
right, exactly. So on a house that's worth Uh,
Bigger.
okay, you see if you can, do that. Yeah.
There. A little bigger?
So it's $1.02 on the tax rate. So if you're,
Yeah.
this is how much your taxes would be impacted by increasing our budget by $1.02. Now, there could still be some additional increases between now and the hearing, and there could be some additional decreases between now and the hearing, depending on how some other lines pan out. But those 5 or 6 lines of the tax of the budget impact are pretty much the ones that are driving the large amount of increase in your tax rate. Anybody have any questions or comments on this?
I don't think that Glenn included the anticipated revenue of the $68,000 in that calculation, so it may be different.
It's right
I
there.
had not originally.
Oh, well, the one that we had in our packet, it wasn't
Right,
included.
so I appreciate the reminder. I knew I needed to put it in there, and so I did add it in today.
Okay, so you recalculated?
Yep, so it is reflective in the
Okay, thank you.
current tax impact and rates at this point.
Do we want to talk about, I know that Carrie talked about the forestry. I see we anticipate $100,000. Did we make sure, Carrie, did you talk to somebody to get that number? And do we find out as far as, is that just maintaining the forest so that we're allowed to keep that revenue? Remember, we were going to find that out?
What was anticipated, 100,000?
Yeah, so they have that down for forestry. I thought I saw 100,000 proceeds.
Yes,
That sounds awfully high
That's
for
what I
1
thought.
year.
Yeah.
That would be like maybe 4 years or something. 100,000. Because what I've been talking to people, and walking in the land and everything. They say a safe bet with the markets and everything is like 20,000, but it would most likely be more like 25 or 30. But I wanted to know if we wanted to go conservative on that for the first year, and anticipate 20,000.
I think that's wise.
so that'll
Yes.
bump the budget up from 2.7 to, you just doubled it, Glenn. There you go. 20,000. Did you say 25,000 on that line, Kerry?
Yeah. I think so. Especially the first cut.
Yeah.
I think would be substantial. And now I did have a question though. If it runs over that, is that okay?
Yes.
Okay.
So
All right.
If
here's
it
my
run-
question. Did anybody find out if we're allowed to keep those proceeds? That is just as long as it's maintaining the forest, and we have to be very selective to maintain the forest. Otherwise, we're not
Right.
allowed to actually have income, right? Like we can't make money on this unless it's just due to maintenance.
Well, you can't cut for the purpose of money, is my understanding.
Right. It's for the improvement of the land, and we have to have a plan, a written
Okay.
plan, and but I was hoping to do the first cut on the land that's not in conservation, just to make it a little simpler, and because that's like 75 acres, that's not in conservation, and then see how it goes, and then have a solid plan with already a year behind us with information and everything, and then Bear Paw will bless it, and it will be. I think we'll just go smoother that way. When we tell Bear Paw what we're doing the second time, then we'll already have a cut under our belt, and what?
There's two things. Remember that Charlie said that the plan is expensive, or it costs money to buy the plan. So he thought by doing the cut for the 75,000, we'd be able to make money to pay for the plan. Should we budget for the? So that means we're.
Well, what
and
I
then
will
the
do.
taxes, the timber taxes. Yeah.
What I will do, because what we can do, what you can do, any expenses can be taken out of the proceeds. So say we made 30,000 our first time out, and we net 22 or something like that, then that will cover the expenses, and which is done probably more that way than any other way. Like a lot of landowners will, have their, instead of having money coming out of their pocket, it'll come out of the logs, fall logs. So what I wanted to do first was like get this all blessed, and then I will go see Charlie, and I also wanted to talk to some other people maybe also, and then bring it back to the board.
So would we get this before next week? Because what I'm saying is, if we're anticipating 37, but then we're paying 15,000 for a plan, then we need to actually write that in the budget. Like we have to say anticipated revenue 37 minus the timber tax. And then we have to put in the plan under maybe, land maintenance or something, that we would be paying a forester. I have no idea what the conservation plan is. If it's $15,000, $10,000, Charlie made it seem, I got the impression it was not cheap.
All right, let me double check with him.
Okay.
I'll get a hold of him this week, or before. I'll try to get a hold of him before next meeting.
Okay.
And see what he has to say. And yeah, I'll do that.
I think that sounds good.
Okay.
All right.
Well, Debbie, it is an estimate. It says right on the top, school board estimate for
Right.
revenue, so.
Well, I just didn't know if we were going to pay for a plan next year out of it. You know what I'm saying?
I get it.
We have to spend
Yeah.
that money, so we should budget for it. Like we have the revenue, and then we have what we're spending it on. Whatever.
All right. Okay. I will contact Charlie.
Okay. All right. I'm
Yeah.
ready for that one line. If you want it,
Back to the
Glenn.
budget.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the budget.
Okay,
6, 5, 6. Okay. So let me just add this plus 12, 5, 6. Okay. I just did this wrong. Hold on. Aaron, did you add any of this?
Which line are you looking at, Debbie?
It's the
The computer software?
okay. Yeah, I don't know if this is right now. All right. So at this point, it would be, we're going to change it because we have $16,488 would be a yearly fee. And then we have 12,556 is a one-time cost. And I believe the total is 29,144. And that's because we've included, I'm going to tell you what's included. This is for the financial software, which has 3 different components. This is for Windows Server. This is also for some other type of a license for something. This is for a Carbonate data backup. This is for Zoom. It's for DocuSign. It's for a virus protection for all the computers. It's for a website. So I have the whole breakdown, but I just, the big picture is 12,656 is a one-time purchase. And then the rest will be annual, the 16,488.
just to confirm the numbers, again, Debbie, it's 16,488 and 12,556.
Yes,
You get $29,044.
yes.
Okay, all right. I heard 144. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anything further on the budget tonight?
And then we're looking under I think it would be around, Glenn, line 22105110, around there when we're talking about professional development. Okay. All right, so in there, we're
Just tell me
using a
the-
software for the people who are keeping, who are getting the stipends to take care of the professional development records are using a software, and that is a frontline professional development. It will be $6,000 a year, and there's a one-time 4,900 setup fee, which would come out of our year, the $68,000. So it's a total for that line of
Okay,
10,000.
Tell me the line again, Debbie, sorry.
Well, it would be near 22105,110.
Okay, so that's, those 5110 would be considered wages?
It's staff development. You see where it says staff development?
Yeah,
It's a staff development software that the person who's doing the staff development stipend, they use this software to keep track of the staff development.
okay,
So,
so just to be consistent with our accounts, we wouldn't want to put it up in 51,100 because those are actual wages paid to individuals.
okay,
So if we're purchasing software, then we're going to want to be down here, probably in the 5640s. So I can certainly find
okay.
the software line. So we need to add in 2210 software line. So that's what I'm hearing.
Yes, it's a professional development software. It is a setup cost of $4,900, which is a one-time fee, which we're paying out of the 68, yearly at 6,000.
So 4,900 plus 6,000.
Yes, it's 10,900.
And the
Total.
software is called what?
It's the frontline professional development.
Okay.
And don't we use Frontline for absence tracking, right?
No, we're not using
Okay.
it. We do, but we're not. The amount of people we have, HR felt was unnecessary. But we are doing the front line under the admin line, which they would have their materials for their evaluations. They seem to really like using that, so we're going to include it. That would be under the administration principal. I don't know what line it would go to. Their materials that they would use.
Okay. I'll fill in the rest of that.
Okay. Did you do what I did? Okay, so now you're going to go to the under the Department of Administration,
Okay.
and this is evaluation software for them to do their evaluations.
Okay. So for the principals, I mean,
The principals use it to do their,
school administration.
yes.
Okay.
After we do this piece, can we revisit the administrative salaries?
Yes,
Okay.
Is that computer, should that be on that computer software maybe?
Yep. I would say
Okay, so we want to add to that. It's an evaluation software, and the setup fee is $5,200. It's a one-time fee, which we will pay out of the 68, and it's $6,000 a year. So it's a total of 11,200. I think I covered everything.
which program are you looking at, Debbie?
They're the frontline evaluation.
Is that coming from Kathy and Amanda, or the people who are actually using it, or from the SAU?
I believe it was what I was told that they wanted. Kathy and Amanda, are you there?
Okay.
No, I thought Cindy Duffy was advocating for it too, Erica. That's a good clarifying question.
Okay. I'm trying to track, like,
I'm with you.
HR saying things.
I'm sorry, I'm here.
Go ahead.
I've never used Frontline for any kind of evaluation process.
Oh, okay, then let's remove it.
I mean,
Fine.
we use it for professional development and tracking professional development. Our evaluation, we created our own observation tool, and our evaluations are generated. We do that on our own.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. It saves us money. All right,
Yep.
we can remove
Sure.
that, Clem. We were told that people wanted it, so we included it. It
I'm
wasn't originally,
confusing. Yeah.
yeah, it wasn't originally included, but we were told people wanted it, so we,
Yeah,
Good.
I've never
Thank you.
heard of it, so.
okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's fine.
Definitely the PD piece though, isn't it? Like,
Yes, we definitely do the PD piece through Frontline.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we were,
I think that's
people
what I'm
begged
recalling
us.
Cindy was
Yeah, they
asking.
were asking us for that PD piece. Okay, that's fine. That's perfect. Thank you. Aaron, did you hear that? I don't know if Aaron's there. Okay.
Is there anything else on the budget, Debbie?
I'm just looking. There was one
Sorry, I
other
got it.
thing. There's one other thing. Okay, so I have to find it. You just have to give me a minute, please.
Okay, I'll go to Misty. Misty, you wanted to
My
revisit.
questions were, Bruce, I cannot find for the life of me the special ed director's salary. Does anyone know what line that is? I
Yes.
see the new superintendent, I see the principal, I see
Be in
the,
the SAU section, right? Because SAU stuff was supposed to be separate from schools, the building stuff.
Right there. Student Services Director.
Yep.
Is that what you were looking for, Misty?
yes. So
Okay.
write it down.
Does that work for you?
Were we going to talk about the range note, Misty?
Well, I was trying to make sure that we were being mindful of the salaries for the principal, the assistant principal, the special ed director. I know we've already come to an agreement on the superintendent who is part-time, where these other positions are full.
So I know that originally it was budgeted for 75,000. Last week, people felt that they'd like the 80. I actually think in the note, the range should be 70 to 80. The reason I'm saying this is if we were to get somebody, and I know people want, somebody with a lot of experience, but if we were to get somebody without experience, people will expect whatever is budgeted. So I think if you have a note, 70 to 80, depending on experience. We may have somebody who has been a caseworker, a case manager, and they want, they've been fulfilling their educational duties and it'll be their first year. So
Would you put a similar note by the assistant principal salary and have a range?
I like the range thing because otherwise people look at your budget and say, I know how much you have budgeted for that amount.
I'm thinking more along the lines of being equitable, knowing those positions, knowing those roles, personally doing both of those roles, those salaries. If you're going to do a range for one, I think you should do a range for both.
Okay.
All right, Glenn, can you put the range in on the notes?
I don't know how you budget a range. So are you suggesting that you use the bottom of the range for the budget or the top of the range?
We would keep the top of the range, but we'd have the note there, and the note would help us with hiring, because what has happened, I will tell you from experience of hiring the candidates that we interviewed for superintendents and so forth, is people know what you've budgeted and they know what's in the line. So if you have a note recommending it depends on experience and so forth, it gives you a little bit more flexibility, because if somebody has 10 years experience, you'd want to give them the top of the range. If somebody's coming in their first year, then you would adjust that. It just is fair to me, depending on somebody's experience.
I just think a similar note should go under the assistant principal and the principal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So should we make different ranges? Is that what you're saying? Then we'd have to make a range. Like
I'm just looking for consistency. I want to get the best that we can possibly get for Strafford, and I want to pay the best we can to get the best. That's all. I'm just trying to be mindful of the market.
And I appreciate what you're saying, Debbie, and I agree with the principle of it. I wouldn't want anybody to hear that we are intentionally trying to hire somebody on the low end of the scale. These are tremendously hard jobs, especially next year as a new SAU. So just so long as that is clear.
I don't think that's what I said. What I said is if we were to have someone come in, depending on the person, I'm saying you can have somebody with 5 years experience and they don't have a great work ethic. You can have somebody with 1 year experience and they're a go-getter. They know how to get the information they need and they'll be a gem. So I think we're not lowballing anyone. It really, everything depends on the individual. And it's not about, you can't, put it in a box. So I'd like to keep it open. We can get a dynamite person. I mean, we interviewed somebody this summer for a position that was phenomenal and would have been a great student services director. And, but had not had that role yet. And you know what I'm talking about, Misty, right?
Right. And again, we lost him to a higher salary. So I'm just trying to find a balance.
Exactly.
Well, that was for a part-time preschool position. Yeah.
Okay, anything further on the budget?
Mhm. I have one other thing, but I have to find the right line.
Making those changes right now. I saw the one.
What do you want to make the changes on the principal and the assistant principal
Yeah,
salaries?
just
That
a
we
similar note.
Similar note? What range you gonna put in there?
Well, sounds like Debbie's suggesting that we budget at the high end of the range, but just make a note that based on years of experience, that sort of thing.
We need a number to make a range.
Where is it?
Right
So
down
the
below.
principal,
Assistant principal. I don't know if that's what 78 is what's being budgeted.
didn't we say Amanda was making 68 right now?
Yes, she is.
Okay. So
Thank you.
68 to 78? What? 68 to 78, is that what you're saying?
Glenn's putting it in right now.
For what it's worth, I mean, I don't know if it's helpful, but those salaries in both the principal and assistant principal are all based on Scott and I previously. So
Correct.
if that helps, I don't know if it
So
does.
they're not based on the current salary.
They are
Correct.
not.
Those are based on, those numbers are based on when Scott and I were in those positions.
So again, you're talking about somebody who had their doctorate.
Right, so then that tells us that principal salary line.
Do we want to say 85 to 95? I don't know. Okay.
I'd go 83 to 93.
Okay, there you go.
You got to remember, we're not a city, we're a small town, and we have to
Absolutely.
we have to be able to bear what can be afforded by
Mhm.
everyone, including the taxpayers. So
Yes, and I just want to note that I was comparing these to comparable districts that we have been comparing to. Barrington, not Barrington, I'm sorry, Barnstead, Pittsfield, Chichester. These salaries were compared to comparable towns.
yeah, we're in the range of the other towns that are our size. So
Who is Aaron? Aaron,
Yes.
the Atlantic broadband, that's for the phone too, right?
Yes, that's all of the service out there. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So that
Yep.
actually, okay, so that equals, Aaron did, so underneath the phone service in the SAU line, it's 23205531. And so that's actually the computer service and it's not just the phone service, it's computer and phone service. That is 2,784 a year. So it's the phones and internet service. 2,784.
What was the amount again, Debbie?
2,784 a year. And so the note should say it's for internet 100/20 internet and 4 DSL lines and 1 fax.
Got phone and internet, Debbie.
Yeah, it's phone and internet.
Phone, internet, and tell me again about the internet.
It says
120?
100/220 internet, 4 DSL lines, and 1 fax. And we budgeted, I don't know, we budgeted a little bit more than we're actually going to have to pay for our copier, just a little bit more, but I think we should just keep it.
Okay.
I think we did everything. That's perfect. Okay, good.
Glenn, can we look at the bottom line now after these new changes have been put in? So the 2.7 has increased, I'm sure. 2.8, okay. So up to
Did you remove that one, the admin, the evaluation, right? Software? Good, thank you.
So that's where our budget sits right now. Some of these lines, if the money is not used, will be returned to the town at the end of the year. Especially for different placements that have been put in there as placeholders, but that's what we will be needing for the operation of the schools next year, or the school next year, including preschool to 8th grade and Co-Brown. So that's where we are. Does anybody else have anything under the budget at this time? Hearing none, we'll move on to the warrant articles. Do we have a screen share for the warrant articles, Glenn?
I think I do, actually.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, first of all, I think the 9th day of March is wrong at the very beginning. I don't think that's the first Saturday. Who has a calendar handy?
Yep, it's the 6th day of March. I think that we didn't update that from last year's template.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, it's the 6th day of March. I'll make that correction.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so there for the election warrant part that'll be taking place at Town Hall for the voting. There'll be 2 school board members up this year and the school district clerk. Okay. Is the moderator up this year? I can't remember.
No, he was on last year, so I think that's a 3-year term, isn't it?
Yeah, I think
Or it's at least 2-year. I know it's more than a year.
Okay.
And they are advertising for an interim clerk. I did call the town clerk and ask if there was anybody there that would be interested for the interim, just until we find somebody or appoint someone. And We didn't get any takers right now, but there may be one person that might be interested. They're looking into it.
The reason for that's the school district clerk resigned
Mhm.
with time still left on her in her term. So we need an interim for this place. Okay. And that interim would be involved with doing the election warrant.
Mhm.
And taking the notes and minutes at the school district hearing and the school district meeting. So
Mhm. I don't see the warrant article for the roof. Were we going to do a warrant article for the roof?
Deb, can we go through them
Yes.
one at a time?
Oh, I'm
Carrie and I, Carrie and I talked about that. We'll tell
Yeah.
you what we're gonna
We're
do.
doing
Okay.
each article one at a time. So this is
Yeah.
the first time we're presenting the articles right now. So
Yeah.
the second article is the large article. That's the big one for the operation of the school, support of the schools and the operation of the schools. So that would be the largest one. And is that the new amount in there?
No, it's not. That needs to
Yeah,
be.
because there's a strike through, right? Okay. So you'll be putting the new amount in there and the new calculations in that. Article 3 is if Article 2 is defeated, we'll be able to come back and still do a meeting for the operation of the schools. And this is put in just so that we don't have to petition the court for the special meeting, because if the town votes on it, we'll be allowed to do it through that vote. Okay. Article 4 will be for the $25,000 to put in the capital reserve fund. And we did get money, we did get totals for the capital reserve now. And Glenn looks like he's fixing that at this time. Right. As of, okay. He keeps moving. Okay. So our capital reserve money right now is $237,255.92. And I'm going to defer to Kerry right now. Kerry, you are the man that's doing all the facility changes and all the work to the building and the grounds. Do you see any reason to use any of that money in the upcoming year?
Well, other than the roof, I don't see any real big ticket items.
Okay.
No, but I am pleasantly surprised with the capital reserve amount, because it's gone up quite a.
I don't think it's. I wonder if it's accurate.
Okay. Let's look into the accuracy of that. Glenn, where'd that number come from?
That came from directly from the capital reserve statement that I received from the town.
Okay.
The funds that are deposited with the New Hampshire Public Investment Pool. I will certainly do some more digging if that number does not seem to be correct.
Okay, because the trustees of the trust fund control that once we give them that amount, and they'll have the correct amount. If that's the amount that they gave to the town, that sounds right. But I know that Debbie, we were talking around 160. I thought it.
Yeah, Bruce, if the form that we received in the mail says it's 137,530, the warrant articles we received in the email, I think that's off 100,000.
You think it's okay?
I think it's 137,530 because if I'm looking, the piece that came today in the with Monica, that email she sent us this morning or last night, whenever she sent that email with the warrant articles, I had it printed and mine says 137,530, and I believe that's accurate. We don't have 237 left. No way.
I got a number this afternoon of 251,989. That was from Monica and Glenn.
That's
money information they received.
Kerry, I got to jump in. That 251 is for the students with disabilities, I believe.
Yeah, and that's probably accurate. Yeah. The 251 is accurate. I believe it's 137. We spent a lot of money over the last 3 or 4 years. Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of money.
Yeah. And I think that we should definitely keep this warrant article. If that's where you're going, Bruce.
Yeah, that's where I'm going. I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
people in the town can vote it up or down or out if they
Yes.
don't want it. So it's up to them.
Yeah, especially depending on what's going on with the roof. If that
Yeah.
doesn't pass, we need to start building this up to at least take care of any leaks.
But I do want to verify that though, because,
Well, I'll look into it.
okay, yeah.
All right. So Glenn, you'll be verifying those for the next meeting.
Will do.
Thank you. And
Thank
that's
you.
Article 4 and 5. All right. And then,
The dates on those balances, Bruce, need to be 2020.
yeah, they do. What was there an article that you wanted to put in for the roof, Kerry?
Well, me and Monica, we've been talking, and you know, I had that $152,000 budget amount, and I'd like to see if we could get the whole thing done at once. But if the townspeople balk at it, then I was going to consider getting half this year and half next year, and because we can wait if we really need to 2 years to do the roof.
Okay.
The only thing I'd rather do it all at once. It would be cheaper to do it all at once than it would be over a 2 year period because less work. If you can understand what I'm trying to say, you know.
So what you want to do, Kerry, is you want to put an article in for the whole amount,
Right.
and then,
Yeah.
then a default article for half the amount.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Bruce, will I use the capital project fund warrant article template for that? I wasn't sure how to write it.
Yeah, you can use similar language.
Okay.
It would not be coming from an unassigned fund balance. It would be to raise and appropriate the amount that Kerry gives you for the repairs to the school roof.
Okay.
Okay, and that way it'd be very clear for the townspeople to understand it, us to understand it, and you get voted on either up or down. So.
Okay.
And I will answer any questions for the town, and you know, what any questions they have, I can answer for them, and I can go over the history if I need to. You just never know. Sometimes they'll just say, "Yeah, we need the roof. Yeah, pass it." But
Kerry,
you know.
it may be good to have the amount you would save by doing it all at once, and just say, if we do it all at once, it's going to be 157. If we do it in pieces, we're going to have to pay like an extra $30,000, and that might help.
Yes, and it'll be less seams. Because if you do half of it, you're going to have a start point, and that would be like an extra seam, and those are seams. Roof seams are the enemies of the roof, So
yeah, that's what leaks.
I could sell it. I'll be charming. I have to.
And I'll work with Megan to make sure I get the language right.
Yeah.
Correct.
So,
Okay.
so Kerry, would you instead of doing seams, if for some reason we couldn't get the whole thing passed, would you just put the money in an account for the
If we can do that, yeah, that would be good, and do it all at once in 2 years.
I think we could do a roof account and put a certain amount for this year and a certain amount for next year. I believe that's true. Don't you think so, Bruce?
Yeah, you can do it that way. The town always does one with for bridges and roads. They do partial 1 year, and then when they have the full amount, they execute the project at that time.
That would be a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that's a good option.
Better than
That's
seams.
That's a very good option.
Because you don't want seams.
Carrie, what's the total amount you want me to put into it if we were to try to raise it all for 1 year?
152.
152. Okay. And then you want me to write a default article to do half of that amount? Okay.
Yeah. Yep. And then, but now, also take into consideration that 152 came from a high-end roofer, and I know I haven't gotten another quote yet, but I know another company that probably come in lower. Maybe not a whole lot lower, but I would think it would come in lower.
Well, if we waited for 2 years, it might go up again. You don't know what the inflation
Right, right.
value would be.
But once we get it blessed, like if we get it blessed in March, then I'm going to go out and get some high quotes.
Mhm.
So Monica, if it's voted on for the default should be in a non-lapsing account
Okay,
until the final amount is completed.
okay.
Okay.
That sounds good.
Yeah. Anything else under warrant articles? Monica, have you received any petition warrant articles?
I have not.
Okay.
Oh, good.
What's that?
So oh, good.
Okay. At this point. Okay. All right. And I believe those are due on the 23rd or 27th. So I'm not sure exactly when the latest they can turn that in. Monica, that would be something you'd like to find out. When is the last day to accept petition warrant articles?
Okay,
Okay.
I will confirm that tomorrow.
Yeah. I don't think too many people want to petition and add any more to our budget than it is now, but if they did, then they're welcome to do that. Okay. Anything else on the budget at this time? Glenn, did you show the revenue sheet? Was that something you had already put up?
I can get that, yep.
Yeah, because it looks like our revenue from the state is down next year.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like $60,000 down.
Quite a bit down, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, these are our next year's estimated revenues, and if you could read across from 1920 to 2021 to 21-22, you can see that what we're up against. School lunch for some reason is looking down, but that's probably because of not having a full school right now. I'm not sure if that's what it is, or we're getting less from the state. Glenn, do you know what that would be?
Yeah, so that 85,000 was my best guesstimate, just looking at obviously 2019, 2020,
Yep.
where we ended at 73, and the last 2 months of the year, obviously, kids were not in school, so that impacted it. I know the estimate for this year was 100,000, and I don't imagine we're going to hit that revenue for 2021. So I was conservative in moving that estimate down to 85,000. But
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, school building aid is up a little bit because we're getting towards the end of our bond. What else do we have down there? School lunch and milk. You kept it the same. Medicare reimbursement is not in there
nope,
because we don't know what we get from them at that point.
correct.
Okay, where is the adequacy? I'm sorry, is behind my other screen right now. That is the one that is making the difference right there.
Yeah.
And that's dropping at pretty much what we're raising the budget right there. That's why another part of the budget is going up, because we're losing the 2.7 in adequacy money from the state. So
Like $60,000 we're getting less than last year. Just about.
and that's what is that? Is that the lottery money, or is that I get mixed up which one's the lottery money and which one isn't, but I would think more people would be playing the lottery in these tough times. So let's try to win
It's based on a formula. They
Yeah.
use a formula. And it's like how many kids get free and reduced lunch,
Right.
how your third graders did in testing. It's all based on a formula.
Yeah, and it's taken out of the pool that the state receives from
Mhm.
lottery and other places. So
It also takes into account your ADM.
Yes. So if we have less kids, then we're gonna get
Exactly.
less money.
yeah. So if you're looking across, well, okay, where is the total down at the bottom for the revenue?
Total revenue would be your 222 plus these two numbers.
Right, and
So that is a total revenue of $3,465,645.
that's where we're down from last year.
No, not necessarily.
Well, if in anticipated estimates, because this year it's 2,158,000, next year is 2,000,099. So that's
It's
down.
a $60,000 less than 60. It's like 59 something thousand dollars less in adequacy money.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, hopefully the legislature votes more in, but we'll see what happens. COVID money is also not included in that. There is no COVID offsets for anything that we're spending this year, but that should be a wash anyway.
Mhm.
That should be money in, money out at that point.
Yeah, you'll have to spend whatever you get.
Right, right. Does anybody else have any questions or comments or any place in the budget at this point? We covered the budget, the revenue, the estimated increase in taxes, and the warrant articles. Is there anything else that we need to touch on? Nobody? Nice.
Well, I mean, you just need to figure out our plan, the timeline, but that will
Yep.
be once we
Timeline's next week.
investigate more. Yeah.
Yep, so but the budget's pretty much, I mean, there'll be small increases and decreases in the budget, but between now and the 27th, but at this point, it looks like we pretty much have a solid number with those new numbers you gave us tonight, Deb.
Mhm. Okay.
Based on all the software and all the technological things that we need, all technology parts. It looks pretty good. I wish it wasn't up at all, but it has to be with the changes that we're getting from the New Hampshire retirement system and other places in the budget.
Mhm.
Our fixed costs are going up and there's nothing we can really control on that point.
Right. I just want to thank Aaron. He did a lot of the legwork and research to get us those numbers. He knew what we wanted to spend for the computers. He found the products that we wanted. He's really, we couldn't have done this without Aaron. So thank you, Aaron.
Hey, my
Thank
pleasure.
you, Aaron.
And we want to thank Glenn for getting all our numbers
Yes.
correct and
Yes.
ready to share with us tonight. Thank you for being here, Glenn, and doing this part.
Welcome.
Okay, do we need Glenn for any other parts tonight?
I do have one question for Glenn.
Go ahead.
Glenn, we received, Kathy put together, we got the list of the items that Kathy submitted for that CARES Act, the second amount. I'm looking at this, Kathy, wait a minute. Is this the one that's the $42,000? Basically?
That's a complete total of everything.
So
It's
is that
not specific to the second one.
okay, this isn't specific to the second one. How much did we spend for this? Which one? How much was the second?
The one that we
Is it-
got back was 20, I don't remember the exact amount.
Is that the 23,000?
Yes.
23? Okay. All right. So my question is, were these all added things or were any of these items that we had, when we were looking at our monthly expenditures, would any of those lines go down? Like, did anything that we spent on COVID that we were looking at under our monthly expenditures, did this reduce that, or are these additional items?
I think they're additional items. I don't think they took away from anything that was already budgeted.
Okay.
I don't think. I mean, I would have to look into that a little bit.
Okay. I just, because I am so, keeping Glenn here, I am just feeling very unsure of what we have left in this year's current budget. You weren't at our last meeting and you weren't scheduled to be, but we did have a report from you. And I found almost $1 million that wasn't encumbered, between health insurance and, life insurance, dental insurance, all those things. And so it's hard for me to figure out what the bottom line is. And I just want to know where we're at so far this year, because we do know that we have, we have a custodian that we hired on this year. So the rest of this year, we have to pay his salary. We gave a stipend to another teacher for remote learning, which I still have another question for Monica about. We know that there's going to be other expenses. And so I just would like to know if we can get an accurate, really accurate number of where we're at right now in our budget with everything that, all benefits and contractual obligations encumbered. I'm worried about it. I'm very worried about it. So.
Well, Deb, I want to clarify what you just said. You found $1 million, but the $1 million is budgeted in our budget. Yeah. It's just not
encumbered.
Yeah, it's not, the line is not brought across to put it in an encumbrance. The money is there. We're not looking to raise another $1 million. It's there.
Oh gosh, no. Yeah.
But it sounded like,
oh, no. What I'm trying to explain for people who are listening, who don't understand this, it's when we know how much we have to pay for health insurance and dental insurance and FICA and New Hampshire retirement, all those things we like to encumber. And then we subtract that amount from our budget and we see what's left. And that's what I need to see. And I think everybody else should see. And when things aren't encumbered, it's hard to really get to the bottom line. So I just would love to, next week.
You want to see what our balance is left over in the bottom line from those encumbrances.
You got it.
All right.
Yeah. Yes.
That's where you're going with this.
Yes. And then I'm going to bring up just because this ties in with Glenn too. First, I'm going to ask Monica a question. Monica, when we approved that stipend for the teacher who was going to be doing the remote instruction for the pre-K through first grade, I believe, I think it was like 6,500 or something like that. We did ask for you to speak to the attorney to make sure that it was a stipend and it didn't force that issue of full-time benefits and everything. Did you find out about that?
Yes, I did.
Do you know the answer?
It's either the number of hours worked or the amount of money spent. I will have to go back through my notes and email you the specifics. I don't know right off the top of my head, but I did verify that. And what you're offering does not trip that switch to create a full-time employment situation.
Are you sure she said that? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. If then that makes me feel better because if benefits were included, we do not have that money in the budget, and that concerns me. The other thing is we do have, and something for the board to consider, we do have the money from the health trust that we can have a public hearing and accept those funds. And I think that we should do that. We need 10 days, right, Glenn, to post the public hearing?
I believe it's, again, 7 days.
Why do I keep saying 10? I'm sorry. 7 days to post the public hearing and to accept those funds. And then if we're accepting it, we just have to say we're going to be using this to offset our budget for expenses such as the custodian and so forth. And then if the board chooses to, we have a choice. I think it's $42,000. Is that right, Monica or Glenn? Does anybody remember?
46.
Is it 46? I don't know.
Number I remember, but I'm not positive.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that sounds right.
Okay. So if we do post it, we just need to say that we're posting it to accept this money. And then we have to, when we have our public hearing, basically given a summary of what we plan to use the money for. But I think that we definitely should accept the money.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right. Anything else?
Should we have them post the budget hearing? I mean, the public hearing for this money.
We need to do that. Yeah.
We do need to do that.
Would everybody be comfortable putting that into the January 13th meeting?
Is that 7 days? Is that enough time?
So it's a week.
Is it 7 or 10?
I don't think you'll have enough time because it won't.
Okay.
The earliest it would get in the paper would be probably Thursday at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have to post in the newspaper. We can post it in the local places in town. I don't believe that has to be newspaper printed.
That could be true.
I think it only has to be posted 3 different places within the town. So
Yeah.
that would save us money on the newspaper posting.
Yep.
All right.
If we can't do it for next week, we could do it right, like have a short meeting, a very short budget hearing before a public hearing on accepting the funds right before our budget hearing.
We could do it on the 27th. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can incorporate it into that meeting too. So
Okay.
we could put time aside for that and move on to our budget hearing. Yeah. Okay, we'll do it on the 27th then.
Okay.
Okay, I do have one question on DocuSign. Okay. And this is for Kathy and for Monica. When I look on DocuSign, I see all the invoices that come in for the different PPE for the COVID. Now, it seems like several people are ordering the same type of equipment. Masks are being ordered by the custodian, the nurse, maybe administration. I saw it in 3 or 4 different places. Can we coordinate it within the school to have one person be doing the PPE from one source? That way, it'll be easy to keep track of the CARES money, and it'll be easy to keep track of what we need to get reimbursed for. Otherwise, there's little bits in different. Like Granger has a mask. Different places have masks. It's not just one place. Kathy, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, and not for all of it, but I know that some of the things were specifically ordered to be medical grade, and there were multiple items that were specific for nurse level and different types of things versus, kind of the.
Okay.
I don't want to say like not, but just a different grade for nurses in specific situations. And there were some other, and I'm trying to, I know there were some, when I say face shields, but they're sort of disposable so that they could be kind of grabbed, put on to protect, eyes and face as well as a mask. So I think Kathy orders a different level of things versus the things that Gary orders.
Well, can we keep everything at least in one place where we're keeping a running sheet of that?
Sure.
That way, I don't think we have to go back, Monica or Glenn doesn't have to go back and pull out the little pieces that are in each invoice to be put on for the CARES money. If you could keep a running sheet of the PPE, it would be easier for us, and it'd probably consolidate everything for the CARES grant a lot easier than everybody being all over the place with it. I mean, I saw some for masks with designs on it for the kids, masks that for the custodian, masks that, like you said, for the health office. If we can get those together instead of putting other things in with them, that we could keep those,
Bruce,
more of a
you want me to use common sense and get it all together and make it convenient for everybody? Of course I can do that.
Exactly what I'm asking. Yeah.
You're just getting silly, Bruce. Come on now.
Yeah, I know.
No, absolutely. We could definitely do that.
Yeah. And I think it would cut down on the amount of invoices that we get on the DocuSign. It'd be a lot easier to look at what's being bought and where the budget is right now. So.
Got it. Absolutely.
All right. Is there anything else for budget and Glenn right now? Nothing? Okay, I'm looking at the rest of the agenda. I don't see any other places where we would need to have Glenn at the meeting. Glenn, thank you for you. I'm sorry, somebody saying something? Carrie, do you have something?
No, I'm all set.
Okay, so Glenn, thank you for all your work on the budget and all the preparation for this. Who's in charge of this meeting?
Aaron.
Okay. But I wasn't sure.
That was supposed to be you, Bruce.
No, I know.
You're the chairman.
I didn't mean it that way. The word eluded me for a second of
Host.
The host. Thank you. The host. All right. Well, the way Glenn was sharing the screens for the budget, I wasn't sure if he was the host at that time. to do that. So thank you, Glenn. Thank you for all your work, and we'll see you at the
Thank
next
you.
meeting.
You bet.
Thank you, Glenn.
Have a good evening.
All right. Yeah, I know I'm supposed to be in charge. It's not easy sometimes. You know, the Zoom protocol is something that somebody should write some kind of guide for, you know, of who can speak when and everything else, because it really does come down to people trying to talk over each other. And that's really hard. It's hard to keep people. You don't know when somebody's pausing and somebody's jumping in or not. So I totally get it.
Right.
So right now we're moving on to superintendent's report. So Monica, it's you.
Thank you. And Aaron is going to screen share. I had to switch from laptop to phone so I could get on mobile data because internet in Barnstead tonight is very intermittent. I'm not sure if it's the weather or what the problem is.
Everyone,
Okay.
We can see it.
All right.
Right.
Okay. Thanks, Aaron. You can advance. It just takes a minute when you pull a PowerPoint onto Zoom. It'll take a second for it to.
That's fine.
While he's advancing, there are not any new nominations or resignations or stipends for the report tonight. And we still waiting, Aaron.
what are you looking at?
If you'll hit, I'm just seeing slideshow. If you'll start the slideshow or advance the screen, however you want to do it.
Okay, I'm watching the slideshow.
Yep. And I'm seeing the first page. And I'll talk through while we're waiting on it to advance. The first item of correspondence we've already discussed, which is the school moderator and the concerns about potential scheduling and rescheduling. And we've already headed over to that. So what I'm seeing, Aaron, is
Yeah.
my email slide 1. But I'm actually up to slide 4 on what I'm talking through.
Right.
We can get it to advance. There we go. That's 2.
All right. We're just going to have to do it like this, I think. It's popping up in a window that the Zoom isn't capturing.
Okay.
Can everyone see this?
What I'm seeing now is slide 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you can bump it up to slide 4. One more. There you go. All right. The New Hampshire School Administrator Association has spoken to the superintendents and also provided us with a written summary. I know board members got a similar document from School Board Association, and the analysis that's been done, the preliminary analysis, is that school systems can expect roughly 4 times as much federal aid in CARES and ESSER money in fiscal 2021 as we got in 2020. And again, as Bruce said, as it comes in, we'll spend it. But there is a lot of aid that's coming. Okay.
Good.
And we have gotten our matching funds for our school lunch program for the previous fiscal year, the one we just concluded. And we served more than 25,000 school meals during fiscal 21. And we've gotten state matching funds of a little over $2,000. That's to go with our federal reimbursement. And then the board needs to consider whether you want to continue the sick and family leave policy that we've been, or the sick and family leave benefits that we have been recognizing. Congress has not extended it, so it's now up to local school boards if you want to extend. And I have consulted with the SAU attorney, and she recommends, and I didn't go to Megan because I already had to go to the SAU attorney, and I just figured there was no use going to the Strafford attorney to get the same answer a second time. But we would the board could either grant both forms of leave or neither form of leave, but she recommends don't pick one or the other. And there's not an economic incentive. There's not going to be any kind of a tax advantage like a private business would get, but it'll be a neutral impact on the budget. I checked today with Linda. And if you'll go to the next slide, Aaron. It's still limited. If you do extend the leave, it's limited to a total of 80 hours. But depending on how we calculate FMLA, if you extend the leave, an employee could be entitled to an additional 12 weeks of leave, not just what they didn't use in 2020. And I don't have a recommendation either. You can back up, Aaron. I don't have a recommendation either way. You're going forward. If you could go backward. Thanks. No, it's going to go forward. I don't have a recommendation either way on the leave. Employees would still be using sick time if they have sick time. If they exhaust their leave, they take it unpaid. But the board does need to make a decision because we do have employees who have requested it. Most of the time it's requested because of a childcare issue. That's what we've seen this fiscal year, is that when we get the request, it's because their child is sick or their child's school, they go to a different school than Strafford, and they've gone on remote and the parent is having to stay home with the child.
I think, Monica, this is something we need to talk about in non-public session, because we would need to know the impact of services from staff and people this would affect, and we'd need a little more detail on it that we don't want to put out in public session.
Would you like for me in our next school board meeting to ask Linda to come so she can answer any specific HR type of questions about it?
What's the board think?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
We'll be glad to do that.
Great.
All right. I actually received guidance today from the school board attorney about there's only one provision in the contract extension that she and I were not happy with the language itself. And she has provided that guidance. We did ascertain that the increase that's being proposed by Dale Transportation is not due to fuel cost, it's due to increasing the driver wages. And I did go ahead and send a counter to Dale Transportation suggesting adjusting the percentage that's in the force majeure provision from 90% to 70%. And that was on Megan's advice. And I'm just waiting to hear how Dale feels about that. And if they do accept my counter, I do recommend that you all accept that extension for a year. I think it's a fair price that they're asking, and Megan agreed. But we would encourage you to negotiate a new contract at the conclusion of that extension.
Okay.
All right.
So we'll wait till you get the final document for that.
Yeah.
And Bruce, I was under the impression that we were asking Monica to check with just some of the language about being forced to pay anything during if there's this terrible pandemic where the schools are closed for a year or whatever. And so I thought we were going to get that information, and then we were going to discuss our thoughts about what we would feel would be a fair offer. I didn't realize Monica was going to just take whatever Megan said and then start negotiating without the board hearing it first.
Well, we haven't put anything to a vote. We can always discuss it. Let's see what comes back with the other document first. Hey, Monica, continue.
Okay. I did get a proposal from another nursing staffing agency. I know we were all concerned about the pricing that MAS staffing was offering, and this just fell into our laps. I got a call from Trova Healthcare in Wyndham, and they have a substitute school, RN who lives in our area who prefers to work for schools rather than hospitals. And they asked if we had any need for substitute nursing. And we happened to have that need immediately in Northwood, but I asked her to provide us a proposal for all 3 school districts. And I sent that to you all last night. It's a 1-page document. Linda and I reviewed it before Northwood settled on it, and they were able to provide a school nurse for Northwood for $35 an hour and this is a registered nurse with school nurse experience. There's no cost to have the agreement for placement. We would only pay if we needed the service and they placed someone with us. And it's very much like Kelly Services handles school subs for large school districts. We only pay if we use the service, but they take care of locating people, vetting them. Kathy would interview the person, and they would be an independent contractor with the school district. So I do think it's a good idea. That would give us a second agency that we could depend on in addition to the first one in the unfortunate event that we might need to get a substitute nurse.
Monica, I don't see any hourly fees on this agreement. I know the last one we approved, we had the hourly fees. Do we know what they are?
Yes, this is a different type of arrangement. It's based on the experience level and degrees of the individual contractor. The person that is in our area that would work for us if placed by this agency would be a $35 an hour fee. But it varies by the individual.
Okay.
So if
that's a whole lot better rate.
Yes, yeah.
But just for clarity, if we needed somebody and that the person you're speaking of was already jobbed out to Nottingham or Northwood or wherever, and Trova had to find one of their other nurses, it would be a different rate.
It might be
clear.
It might be a different rate. Yeah.
Yeah, how's the board feel about entering into this proposal?
So basically, are we saying we don't pay anything unless we use them? We pay nothing?
Correct.
Or
there's no charge to go into an agreement with them.
Okay, so we could
actually have to have a signed contract with them in order to use the service.
So is there, okay, I'm just looking at this finder's fee and things like that. So it's not an additional, I don't know, there's not additional 20% per diem calculated. I'm reading that second paragraph. The per diem.
Yeah.
Okay, so is this, if we hire the person ourselves, then we pay them a per diem rate?
We pay the individual a per diem rate, and we pay basically a finder's fee to the agency. Okay. And then if we decide, if the unthinkable happened and we were to lose our school nurse and then we hired someone, it's just like a temporary, any other temporary services contract, we would pay a placement fee, and we would be allowed to pay that over time to the agency.
Okay. It doesn't seem like there's, who is doing this? Northwood is using them?
Yeah, Northwood used them this week.
Okay. I guess we could try it. There's nothing, if we use them once and we don't like them, we don't have to use them again, right?
Right.
Once you enter into a contract agreement, it would take a motion and a vote by the board.
I move that we enter into an agreement with Trova Healthcare out of Wyndham for substitute nurse staffing with the understanding that we only pay for services as they are rendered.
Second.
Further discussion.
And And we are not obligated to use them for any length of time. There's no time limits or anything. I'm not seeing anything on
Correct.
here that says that. Okay,
Right, it's purely a placement.
okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Further discussion? Debbie,
Yes,
Misty?
Yes.
You good, Misty? Okay. Erica
Yes.
and Kerry?
Yes.
Myself, yes. So that contract, we will sign at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Aaron, if you'll go to the next screen. Our test positivity and our community transmission is somewhat lower statewide. Although they're saying that there's going to be the post-Christmas surge coming. And if you'll take a look at the next one, Aaron, Strafford County is in double digits on test positivity. However, we are still averaging 0 hospitalizations. So although I watch the test positivity, and that's an important indicator, I think the hospitalizations are just as important. And I did circle for you, the report for Strafford School is saying there's only been 1 recovered case reported. That's because the numbers have not caught up. We've been reporting each week. They just haven't updated the dashboard. Okay. I included Rockingham County just simply because I know that there are a lot of folks who work in Rockingham, and they continue, both Strafford and Rockingham continue to outpace the state. Our level of community transmission, again, if one rating goes up to a higher level, it pulls the whole overall rating up. So we are at a substantial rating. If you'll go to the next screen, Aaron, that's the one I'm on. Thanks. So we are at substantial community transmission. Next screen, our level of school impact has been at medium. Because we have had a cluster. A cluster is defined as 3 cases in the school. At one time, we have had that. And our staffing, as you know, has been strained. So we've got a medium level of school impact. And our final screen is our matrix, decision-making matrix. And the blanket general recommendation from DHHS is if you have a medium level of school impact and a substantial community transmission, the preferred schooling model is remote. However, they encourage you to look at your local situation, given that our cluster of cases are located in a single family. And given that the hospitalization rates are so low, I am comfortable with us continuing to offer the hybrid 4 days on, 1 day flex. Of course, we had to temporarily go remote for our older kids simply because of the strained staffing situation.
Okay.
That concludes my report. I will be glad to take additional questions if y'all have them.
Anyone?
I'm trying to understand the difference in board decisions, Monica, and when administration has to make a decision. Matt, you guys have had to pivot 2 more grade levels based on staffing constraints, is my understanding. So trying to understand where the board lies and where administration makes a decision as needed regarding
Regarding the pivots into remote only, that has been since the get-go a board decision. The administration just makes the recommendation.
Yet you've had to make a decision for preschool and 4th grade since the board met.
Preschool, we had the board had voted that 5 through 8 would go remote as long as conditions remain the same. As far as with the 4th grade situation, 4th grade situation happened because we ended up with no teachers available. So that, I mean, that really, there's no decision there. it's just a condition. It's like snow falling.
Will preschool be back tomorrow?
What is tomorrow? Wednesday? Yes, preschool should be in session tomorrow.
Good.
When do you anticipate fourth grade returning?
We expect fourth grade to return next week.
Thank you. I'm just trying to understand the process with those decisions.
Okay. Carrie, did you have a question?
No, I'm good.
You lit up there. I was wondering if you
Oh,
must have been eating something like I was. Okay. Any other items for Monica? Okay, we'll move down to the timeline. We've been working on that, but correspondence and presentations.
Well, we all received the email from Kurt. We went over that. And Misty has the email from a parent thanking us. Misty, do you want to read that? Because my other iPad broke, so I can't read what's on my iPad.
I'd be happy to. I'm just getting my hand really quick. So we did receive an email from Joseph White, just saying that he'd like to thank the board for the hard work that they have put in over the past year. Specifically, we are so grateful that our daughter has been able to stay in school for face-to-face learning. We have listened to some of the meetings and appreciate the school board members defending face-to-face learning against some school faculty's constant pressure to go remote. Going remote, which is essentially homeschooling, he writes, is almost a non-option for his wife and him, as they both work full-time and their first grader does not do well learning remotely. Does have a question for the board regarding the one question we would like brought up at the meeting is at what point can we start talking about going back to a 5-day school week? When the positive cases begin to fall, at what point can kids return to school full time? And then again, he goes on just to thank the board for working on behalf of parents and taxpayers.
Thank him. Thank you, Mr. White.
I don't know when that question can be answered. When we go into the 5th day, we got to get through the current part of the after Christmas, New Year's type of situation now. But I'm sure Dr. Henson is monitoring, as she has been, all the cases, and will recommend when we can go back. So, is that correct, Monica?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Misty.
Okay.
Amelia, I'll send that to you.
Let's move down to the NHSBA resolution. This would be Erica.
Yeah, so that went out in the separate packet, and I'm guessing everybody gets it's been sent out a few times, I guess, by the School Board Association. So I guess just thinking ahead, the delegate assembly is on the 23rd, and getting a sense of the board's wishes on these different proposed resolutions, how the board would want to vote. These are sort of run of the mills. Some years there are some that are much more controversial. But so we could go resolution by resolution, or perhaps people have read through it and just agree with the school board association, whether they recommend or not.
When's the vote? When's the vote, Erica?
The 23rd.
23rd.
But definitely, Erica, support the Nottingham resolution, which is the part of the Strafford resolution. Is that correct?
Yes. And I've been told that was going to get fixed. So we were going jointly with Nottingham. Nottingham agreed to submit it. I am not sure what happened between their board meeting and it getting to the School Board Association. I spoke with Sue Levinson. It got there pretty late. I'm not I don't know why. I didn't get a specific on why. And Sue said that what they submitted to the SAU to be passed along had both Strafford and Nottingham on it. So,
Yep.
so nobody can really figure out why the school board association only printed it with Nottingham.
Mary thinks, Erica, Mary thinks that it's the upload that went in, that it only processed the first board that she typed in. She said that she typed in both boards.
Okay.
Anyway,
That's the one about, just for folks listening, resolving that federal IDEA money stays with the funding, the home district of the student, not the district where the school is located. The state of New Hampshire has reinterpreted in 2019 how they divert those funds. Previously, they went to the town of residence. In 2019, New Hampshire said that was a misinterpretation and it should be going to the district where the school is physically located. So our IDEA money for our high school kids, for our Co-Brown kids, goes into Northwood because Co-Brown is in Northwood, which in our situation is a double head scratcher just because Co-Brown is not a fully public school. So
Yeah.
And actually, Co-Brown is its own SAU.
Right.
Headmaster is a superintendent. So, and we're talking about $32,000 worth of our IDEA money that, we're supposed to have. I spoke with whoever the woman is who's in charge of this at the DOE last year about it. And she said that we are supposed to have a gentleman's agreement with the other district to make sure that money's being used for our students and that we have an awareness how that money's being used. But
right, that's what I'm saying. New Hampshire, the DOE has said this is how it's supposed to be done. And typically when they say something like that, they're not terribly interested in problem solving anybody's complaints.
Yeah.
So that's one resolution that I'm assuming that we are all supporting.
Absolutely. It really, Co-Brown is the SAU. The money, if anything, shouldn't go to Northwood. It should go to Co-Brown to manage
They can't accept federal funds. IDEA title,
no, you're right.
federal
You're
title
right.
funds have to be passed through a public agency to them.
Right.
So the first resolution around COVID funding, the School Board Association does not recommend it, feels that it is very narrow. So the resolutions are essentially what we are asking the School Board Association to lobby on and to have our backs on. It really doesn't carry any weight of change, so to speak. So anyway, Conval would like something around COVID funding, that there's no unfunded mandates, that anything that schools have to add on for COVID be 100% covered by the state and guaranteed that they are 100% covered by the state.
I'd agree with that.
So are you saying you want that to agree, or you are agreeing with the school board association that it's too narrow to be a longstanding resolution and it's addressed in other areas?
I would support the resolution because that's something that we need in a timely fashion. It can be removed once the COVID, if ever, goes away, but the board does recommend it. They recommend support of it.
I would go along with that.
No, which board, Bruce? The School Board Association does not recommend it.
It says right here I have it.
I'm on the first one on page 2. The NHASEA Board of Directors recommendation not to support because it is too narrow and it's covered in other areas.
I'm sorry, I was looking at the second Conval one. Okay. I was looking at the internet service providers.
So the first one.
I would go along with the School Board Association recommendation.
Okay.
Yeah,
What do others think?
They let me just speak that when these resolutions come before the School Board Association, they take them apart piece by piece, and they compare them to there's non-lapsing resolutions in there, and the continuing resolutions, and practical resolutions, and they look at them and they put them in the categories in which they think they could get someone in the legislature to support and continue. And if they put down that they don't support it, I don't think they can find support from the legislature. So that's why I would go with the New Hampshire School Board Association recommendation on all of these articles.
District.
I've
So
been
do
go-
we want to, yeah,
I've been going to this
that
meeting.
Debbie, Misty, Carrie?
22 years, yeah.
is-
See what everybody else says.
I just received this today and I didn't get a chance to read it, so I'm reading it now.
Oh, yeah, it's been emailed out a number of times.
I do hard copy, sorry.
I don't think there have been any changes. I guess I should have said it that way. I don't think these are changed from the last
Right.
few times, but
Guess all I
Yeah,
would say is,
I got mine in the mail.
Me too.
Yes, that's what I said. I got
Yeah.
mine today in the mail. Mhm.
Yeah.
Bruce, you've done this a long time. I feel like I trust your years of experience in working
Yeah.
Thank you,
with the Board
because
Association.
yeah, the School Board Association is made up of many people that from the different areas of the state. They sit down, like I said, dissect these and see if they are something that can actually work to get through the legislature. And none of these things that we're saying, even the one from Nottingham, is something that is etched in stone until a legislator picks it up and presents it to
right.
to
Right,
make it.
and I just appreciate Nottingham and Erica's work on this. I don't want to devalue that. I'm hearing the process that Bruce,
Yes.
Yeah.
School Board Association
Yeah.
backed up. And
So I was.
are we required to vote yay or nay tonight?
I don't know that there's a requirement. I think it's a good idea to get a sense of your board. Again, these aren't as controversial. Last year, there was an open carry policy that was there
Right.
that people talked a lot about, that their boards were very split, that very few boards went into that with.
I remember that last year, yeah.
So
Our
the
board,
next,
our board was split on it, Erica.
yeah. So, all right. So the next one is around upgrading broadband, the point, again, supported by Con Valley. One of the comparisons they made is I-93 exit 4 they just spent $66 million upgrading that one exit, but haven't really put any money into upgrading the infrastructure of internet across the state. And we have, as we know in Strafford, huge pockets with unreliable
Mhm.
access, and it becomes an equity issue. School Board Association does support that resolution. Do we support that resolution?
I do.
Yes, I mean, I would.
I do as well.
Yeah.
I
Yes,
would think,
fine.
I would think Monica would, where she's having that issue tonight with this, so.
Right. Right.
I know I'm on Route 4.
Just FYI, you were talking about how these are all kind of ceremonial and all, but
Yeah.
yours really has been asked to join the New Hampshire School Administrators Association lobbying team.
That's what it is. If the School Board Association recommends this and supports it and votes it in, then they turn it to their lobbyists. Their lobbyists, then that's when you'll see the lobbyists running around to the different
Right.
legislators and try to get somebody to listen to it and adopt it to present it as a proposal for a law. So that's how it works.
I'm
Right,
looking at the
and I-
Oyster River one. Yeah. Misty, do you know about that? Were you there when your board wrote the Oyster River resolution?
Unbelievable. Why don't we go through them in order like we did the others? So Raymond, to support reinstating full school building aid to state funded levels greater than state appropriations prior to the 2011 moratorium. Again, the School Board Association supports that one. It changes the rationale, I think, more than that, because it's sort of a continuing resolution.
We have no building projects coming up that this would pertain to. for us at this moment, but if we ever did, it would be good to have this in place.
Yeah.
The next one is Monadnock and equity-based inclusive education. The School Board Association proposed alternative language, essentially just adhering to all the anti-discrimination laws around you can't discriminate on the basis of sex, gender identity, race, religious creed, color, marital status, physical or mental disability, national origin, economic status, family status, sexual orientation, health condition, or native language. So
Most,
they are supporting their alternative language.
yeah, most of the things that they've written to this are already in a federal law. I don't know why they have to outline it for New Hampshire, but I think we go by it more than probably some other people, but we don't have any.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I have to assume that if somebody's bringing it forward, then they've run into an issue somehow.
Yeah.
You know, a single district, school districts with their own high school would never know there was an issue about IDEA money going to a different district. So the next one is Monadnock around setting a state formula. And this is, I guess, doesn't apply to us for Co-Brown necessarily, but could potentially for any of our students who would want to tuition to one of the other local high schools. Monadnock is asking for a state formula on how that tuition is established. The School Board Association does not support that, feels that there could be down the road some discrepancies and disparities depending on the districts. It doesn't take everything into account.
Takes away local control.
It's based on local control as far as different districts. That's why the School Board Association doesn't support it, because everyone is an individual case. They can't put a blanket one for the whole state.
Right, or a formula.
Right.
So, all right, so
I wouldn't support that.
No.
So Misty, I guess Deb would like you to speak to the Oyster River one.
This one's really just referencing students who are fully remote. Oyster River has been fully remote, grades 5 through 12, with the exception of bringing in targeted learners. Ongoing challenges with not having kids show their faces when they're learning. And it's been an ongoing discussion. So that was the basis of wanting the kids to show.
Right. And the School Association does not support this. There are ways to take care of it locally and not have a state mandate that students have to show their face.
I like the School Board Association's take on that because, again, local control.
The next one is the one we already talked about that we're doing. And then the last one is from Manchester around lunches and funding of lunches and hold harmless going back because of COVID and lunches that were served and not served. And I should say that this one and ours, the School Board Association, did not take a position because they were submitted late. So they're asking that calculations be based on the 1920 numbers, that the 2021 projections be based on the 1920 numbers and not the 2021 numbers because of COVID and 2021 skewed things so much that they want to be able to use the 1920 numbers for free and reduced lunch.
And of course, in a city like Manchester, those numbers are huge, whereas it really doesn't impact us. I mean, just a tiny bit. So I don't.
Sure, but I think we still need to put good thought into it because it does eventually affect us. And I think we get into trouble when we think something doesn't apply to us, and so we don't take a position, and then we get mad if eventually it
Yes.
does.
On this particular item, we are lagging in all 3 school districts of our SAU. We're lagging in the forms coming into us that we normally would have. I don't know if y'all are seeing that in Oyster River, Misty, but we are seeing a lag time. We've been pulling out all the stops to reach out, and we did get confirmation from the state that they will accept the forms with we can do DocuSign to get parents to sign. It's just getting them to do it, so that we've got the documents. It's a huge concern to the superintendents.
So I guess this is one where we don't have a position from the School Boards Association. So what is the pleasure of the board from our end?
I would leave it up to you as a delegate to listen to both sides and make a intelligent vote on that.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. It's hard to really hear, to get a good understanding of that with that one page.
Right. All right. Thank you very much. That is helpful.
Okay. Now we're down to set future meeting dates. There's a joint board on the 11th. Our next regular board meeting is the 13th, and that's when we'll decide on the future date of the 27th for the public hearing and for the 6th of March for the district meeting. And that's going to be our most important thing that night, to go and decide on how we're going to continue with providing the town with the information with the current situation going on. So,
Do you think we should ask Kurt to also be at our January 13th meeting?
I think that'd be a great idea.
Okay. All right. Do you want me to reach out to him?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you think it'll be at the gym, Bruce?
Well, that's one thing we should look at. We would need from Gary or whoever's, I'm sure Kathy will pass it on to Gary anyway, that we would have to have the capacity with a table up front, projector, and how many people we can get 6 feet apart. Now, the other part of that throws it in is family members. A family member is going to be 6 feet apart. They're going to be sitting next to each other. So that skews the formula a little bit in that way of dividing up the gym. But we should get what's our capacity with the 6 foot social distancing part, including the bleachers and the chairs on the floor. And what would the overflow of the cafeteria be, given those numbers too?
So are we talking about the 13th or the 27th that you want Kurt at?
13th.
Okay. All right. And also then we're going to try on the 27th, we probably have to have, before our public budget hearing at 6 o'clock, maybe at 5:45, have our public hearing to accept the trust fund money.
Well, we could open the meeting up at 6, like we normally do. Put in the hearing and close the hearing at a certain time afterwards. And that could be, people can ask questions anytime from when we open the public hearing. We can still go into our regular agenda while the public hearing is still open for people to ask questions, and then they can ask questions. We can close the public hearing and go back to our budget. So we could do it all at once.
So, but we have to have it posted as 2 separate things. We have to first post it for a public hearing to accept the unanticipated funds, and then our public budget hearing, which would follow immediately after the short other hearing. Okay.
But just to add one more layer, I thought we decided at the beginning of this meeting that we would be deciding on the 13th if we're still keeping the public hearing on the 27th.
Yes.
Right.
Concord might come out with different guidelines. Okay.
That's why Kurt's coming at that time.
Just double checking.
So again, to clarify, is the January 13th regular school board meeting for Strafford School remote?
It hasn't been decided yet, depending on the cases at the Strafford School. Monica will keep us up to date on what's happening with COVID-19 cases
Well, I just want to go on record. I will not be attending if the mask mandate by the governor is not enforced. So please make sure there's a remote option.
Okay,
I would agree with that.
It's ridiculous. We're having public school board meetings in a public facility, not requiring the governor's mandate to be followed.
anything else for the meeting?
Well, I also would like to ask if we could, if for some reason we're going to have, regardless, I would like to have the longer copy of the budget with all the new changes on it. Even if they have to fold it and put it in the envelope, it is very difficult to read the one that we have in our packet. I mean, it's almost impossible to read. So if we could have the longer version where he makes everything a little larger, the legal paper we use to do that, and even if it has to be folded in half to fit it in the envelope. Okay, thank you.
And Monica, can we have those before the next meeting so we can have the hard copy that Debbie likes?
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Anything else on the other at this time?
No, but we need a non-public, right?
We need a non-public, but we would do public comments at this time and let Aaron becomes our leader at this one and manage the comments.
Okay.
All righty, I'm gonna open it up. Let's,
How many people do we have, Aaron?
we have 19.
Okay.
Yep. View, show. We'll start with phone number ending 6017. If you want to unmute yourself and make your comment. All right, we'll move on to phone number ending 5462. If you'd like to unmute yourself.
No comment.
No comment. Moving on to phone number ending 5675. Any comments? Unmute yourself. Moving on, phone number 8361. Any public comment? Please unmute yourself. All right, moving on to phone number ending 1374. Any comment? Unmute yourself.
Am I unmuted? No, it's a on your what?
All right, phone number ending 1107. Any public comment tonight? Phone number ending 7800. Any public comment tonight? Please unmute yourself. Phone number 7130. If there's a public comment, please unmute yourself. Last number 7826. Any comment? That's it.
Okay. Aaron, thank you for coordinating that. Thank you, everyone, for listening tonight. I know it's hard sometimes to get through these meetings, but thank you for being there for us. At this time, we do have some non-public issues. The chair would entertain a motion to go into non-public under A and C.
So moved.
All right, I'm going to put everyone in a waiting room.
I didn't get a second yet.
I said second. Sorry, my
Okay.
mute was off.
That's okay. Not a problem. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Debbie,
Yes.
Misty,
Yes.
Erica,
Yes.
Harry,
Yes.
and myself, yes, we're going into non-public. Kathy, you may stay. Monica, you may stay. Amanda, I don't think we need anything from you at this time, you may leave if you want to or can stay. That's up to you. Okay. And Aaron, please stay because we need you.
Yep.
Nice to be needed.
Yeah. Amelia too. We need Amelia. Didn't mean to skip you. So is there,
Ms. Pagarian, are they here or go?
Kathy is here. It's up to Amanda whether she wants to stay or not. We don't have anything for her right now. Amelia, I do see you. I see you put in the
She's
chat.
here. Yeah.
You are there. Okay.
So Bruce, would you like me to hand off the hosting to you and someone can text me when the session is over?
Oh, no.
No?
Kathy can host, Aaron.
Okay, I'll hand it off to Kathy.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for understanding, Monica.
And Monica, maybe you could just text me when you're ready for
Yep.
me.
Okay, Kathy is now the host. Good. All right, so we had 2 items for non-public, and they're eluding me right now.
Bruce, hold on one quick second. Kathy, make sure that we're not doing the live stream.
Oh, yeah, it still says live.
Yep.
I've
Yeah.
never done that, so